Hey, eighth graders, welcome to the second quarter of 2020. It was a long quarter for the first quarter, and I'm so glad we're done. We had a lot of good things happen and a lot of tough things happen, and I'm glad we're on quarter two. I feel like we have some momentum, and I'm excited to start with a fresh start with each of you. Like Ms. Hutch often says, when we start a new quarter, each of you has a at this point for this quarter. So let's keep it at A's, guys. Along with starting a new quarter, we're starting new classrooms to match our new quarter. This might be a little bit complicated or feel frustrating to you, but I think it'll make things easier because then we don't have to worry about all the old assignments from last quarter and we can start fresh. So let's just take a quick look. If you go to your Google Classroom, to Google Classroom, classroom.google.com, you should see an invitation to join 8th grade English. It's right here. You'll note that it says Q2 underneath it. That's your clue that this is for quarter two. Okay, you guys all know how this works, but I just want to remind you, walk through a few things you should be familiar with here. First of all, most of what I give you is in classwork. We don't use the stream very much except for some announcements and additional reference material. So if you want to know what's assigned, go to classwork. Then you'll see, let me get rid of myself here so you can see this better. You should see your assignments. Week 1 is this week, week 2 is next week, etc. So always be current in the week for what we're doing. I want to show you one thing quick before we move on. This is important. I have another category called sub lessons. This is in case I'm not able to come to school or somebody needs to take over for me. We have a week of assignments that they can be worked on for virtual students and in-class students together. Don't worry about this. Don't worry about it at all. Don't think about it. Don't do the assignments. Don't stress out about the assignments. These are only for if a sub comes in. Does that make sense? You won't even think about it because they're going to be all the way at the bottom. After a couple of weeks, we'll have topics lined up and you won't have to worry about it at all. Let's move to the assignment for today and we'll start. So I wanted to do something a little bit different as we move into the heart of our book, Inside Out and Back Again. One thing we're going to try and do is keep kind of a bird's eye view of the story. Keep in mind what's going on, what she's trying to communicate with us through the poems. So we have a class journal. This is a little bit different than what I usually give you for an assignment. And it's different because this particular assignment is for all of us to do. That means that this is a shared file. And each of us can edit it, and each of us can see each other's work. This is kind of like the posters. If you were in class, this is kind of like the posters we have up around the room, and you're adding things to it. So what you'll do is you'll come in here, and we'll talk about this in-person class, and if you're a virtual student, I want you to come in here and just write the gist of each of the poems we've done so far. So here's what it looks like if you're a virtual student. I want you to go today, and if you're the first one in here, start with poem 1975, Year of the Cat, and tell me what the gist is. You should have already done this in Google Classroom, so I just want you to go and type this in. What is the gist of 1975, Year of the Cat? I want each of you to do that with 3 poems. Write the gist. 3 poems, write the gist. Okay? And if you see that somebody else has already written the gist for this one, just move on down. We have quite a few poems here, so you can just keep trucking on through. I don't want more than 3 gists for each poem. Okay, and then you can see what other people are writing. We can have a journal, if you will, of all of the book, each poem in the book. Now, after you've written the gist for 3 poems, I want you to write a response to the target question for each of the poems. Write a response for the target question for each of the poems. Now, does that mean each of you has to write a target response? No, because this is a group project, you only need to write 1 response for a poem. So 3 gists for a different poem, 3 different poems, 1 gist for each of the poems. And then I want you to respond to 1 target question. Does that make sense? Okay. I will write these. These are also in the Google Classroom, so you can see the directions there written out. Today, we are going to be reading Papaya Tree, and I just wanted to read that to you. because I like reading poems. And so I'm going to read a couple poems, and then we will let you go and get started on writing the gist for 3 poems and a question for one of them. Or writing a response to the target question, the key question for one of them. So I'm going to read from the book, Inside Out and Back Again. Papaya Tree from page 8. It grew from a seed I flicked into the back garden. A seed, like a fish eye, slippery, shiny black. The tree had grown twice as tall as I stand on tippy toes. Brother Koi spotted the first white blossom. 4 years older, he can see higher. Brother Vu later found a baby papaya the size of a fist clinging to the trunk. At 18, he can see that much higher. Brother Kwang is oldest, 21 and studying engineering. Who knows what he will notice before me? I vow to rise first every morning to stare at the dew on the green fruit shaped like a light bulb. I will be the first to witness its ripening. So the key question for this one, if you pick this as the key question, and it's up to you which one you pick, if you pick this poem to respond to the key question, the question is, what might the papaya tree represent? One more note, guys. I want you to be good citizens as we use this class journal. That means that I can't have anybody doodling nonsense or pasting in images of SpongeBob SquarePants or anything like this. Follow the directions, don't delete others' work, and don't add nonsense to this. This is not a graffiti board. This is classwork. Okay, thank you so much, and I'll see you again.